Japanese anime in many ways is a two-sided cultural phenomenon. It is characterized by its bright, vibrant visuals and emphatic, emotive animation. Its character designs are known for being frequently visually appealing, bouncy, joyful, and iconically cute. This is a formula for animation that clearly works. Anime and manga is experiencing an explosion in success across global pop culture, cementing its place as one of Japan's most prolific, widely known, and lucrative exports. However, there is a flip side to all this apparent surface-level success. Taking a look into the process of anime production will reveal an industry wrought with excessively overworked artists, exploitative wage practices, and unethical business hierarchies. Behind every vibrant frame of your average anime is an artist working depressingly long shifts to meet anxiety-producing deadlines and quotas, and on top of all this, barely earning enough from their work to get by. Japanese animators are rarely paid a regular hourly wage, instead being hired by anime studios as freelance workers and paid per frame of animation they produce. Despite each frame taking considerable time and skill to draw, animators receive a minimal pay per illustration, reportedly around 200 yen or just £1.45, which effectively forces them to unhealthily maximize their productivity in order to receive a decent wage. According to the Japan Animation Creators Association, young animators, who have no choice but to work the entry-level position of in-betweener, have it particularly bad, working 11.3-hour days on average while only earning a measly 1.113 million yen per year, equivalent to roughly £8,200. These earnings fall well below Japan's national minimum wage and are only legal due to the animators being classed as contractors rather than full employees. This role has a reputation of being grueling, but is seen among workers as a necessary step on the path towards a more respected, higher position on the hierarchical ladder of the animation industry. In this way, the anime industry effectively exploits the skill and productivity of young artists, forcing them to undergo borderline unethical work hours in order to progress in their careers. However, ascending this hierarchy is no guarantee of securing a decent income. Even for veteran animators with decades of experience in the industry, the picture can be bleak. Technical director Taiki Nishimura made public in 2017 that despite his 20 years of experience in the industry, he is only able to make around 100,000 yen or £725 per month for each anime that he works on. He described that this sum would be woefully insufficient for an animator needing to factor rent costs into their monthly expenses. As a result, he explained that he and many other artists in the industry have no choice but to work on multiple anime projects at once to make ends meet, but that this drastic increase in workload often leaves no time to rest. Horror stories of the impact that these workloads can have on animators are not uncommon, such as the 2014 case in which an animator committed suicide from the stress of working for over 600 hours in the month leading up to his death. Compared to other career paths available to young Japanese people, the emotional and physical burden placed on the shoulders of animators is unprecedented. Young animators earn far less and work for far longer than entry-level employees at average Japanese grocery stores and fast food restaurants. None of this is helped by the fact that Japan has a relatively high cost of living, and that many animation studios are based in or around Tokyo, which consistently places in the top 10 most expensive cities to live in worldwide. When examining these factors, it becomes abundantly clear that passion and a love for animation is an overriding force amongst animators that motivates them to stay in this exploitative profession. Anime studios have historically had to operate on low, often shoestring budgets. This standard was set in the 1960s when anime pioneer Osamu Tezuka undersold his anime Astro to the TV networks of Japan in order to convince them to air what was then a new and untested medium. Since then, Japanese TV networks, and now streaming services such as Netflix, have become accustomed to paying similarly low fees to anime studios when they commission them to produce new anime. Studios are essentially forced to compete for production deals at prices that don't reflect the significant amount of work and skill that goes into anime production. This status quo disproportionately harms animators and artists at the bottom, as the low budgets available to studios forces them to underpay their staff and subject them to excessively long hours. These conditions form an environment where the artistic talent and hard work of junior and senior artists alike is routinely undervalued. These factors have an inevitably negative impact on the quality of the animation that is produced. Animators, especially those working for smaller, less funded studios, have no choice but to implement numerous time-saving methods into the animation progress in order to meet their quotas. Anime is known for its relatively detailed character and background designs, meaning each frame can take a relatively long time to produce. As a result, anime, especially shows on lower budgets, are often filled with simple dialogue scenes that absolutely minimize the amount of complex movement required to be shown on screen. All but the biggest name shows produced by more famous studios are extremely sparing with their use of complex, dynamic animation. Of course, there are countless examples of talented artists persevering to create superbly well animated scenes throughout the history of anime. However, the tight budgets and absurd workloads expected of animators undoubtedly limits their capacity to consistently produce animation of the highest quality. So what can be done about this? The workplace standards and conditions I've described are admittedly well established and deep-rooted within the industry. Furthermore, as long as TV networks and streaming services continue to pay studios such minimal production fees, budgets themselves will act to prevent the earnings or workloads of animators from significantly improving. However, examples of studios that have successfully broken the trend in the pursuit of better working standards for their artists do exist. Kyoto Animation is one of anime's most highly regarded production studios, having produced numerous well-loved and incredibly popular series such as Violet Evergarden and K-On!, alongside anime films such as A Silent Voice. This great success is the result in part of the studio's alternative approach to anime production, hiring its artists as full-time employees and paying them a standard hourly wage, rather than the payment per frame method that is more common in the industry. This notable break from the norm crucially relieves the animators working at Kyoto Animation from the pressure of needing to produce a set number of frames per day in order to receive a decent wage. As a result, these animators are enabled to spend more time on each illustration and focus on the quality of the drawing and animation they produce to a much greater extent. This is evident from watching the anime and films they produce. Shows like Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid are animated in a particularly smooth and dynamic style, and the art style is beautifully and skillfully crafted in a way that grants their animation an incredibly immersive quality. It is a simple but effective strategy for anime production that works to improve not only the artistic quality of the animation, but the livelihoods and well-being of the animators that create it. In addition, the studio operates a program to train young prospective animators' animation skills at its studios, a course that provides its students the opportunity to have their tuition fees reimbursed and to move straight into an employment position at the company should they produce promising work. This provides a channel for young animators to avoid the unfruitful exploitation that many experience during their initial years in the industry. As such, Kyoto Animation's more ethical approach to anime production sets a promising precedent for the industry, an example that other studios should seek to replicate the success of in order to improve worker welfare and the quality of the anime they produce. Unfortunately, many studios in Japan lack the degree of financial leverage wielded by large and famous studios such as Kyoto Animation, and would struggle to make the switch to this alternative business model without external aid. This means that many Japanese animators will continue to struggle with their current poor working conditions until deeper systemic issues such as limited budgets and the chained outsourcing of work overseas are addressed. The network and streaming service executives with the power to make the positive change necessary by providing anime studios with budgets more reflective of the work required to produce an anime lack the financial incentive to do so, and as such, the future for Japanese animators may remain bleak.